Bet you didn't know you could do this in Ableton. I have this effects rack with all the DJ tools you could ever need. Here's a filter flange thing. A reverb throw. Delay. A stutter effect. There's 2 vinyl skip effects. The second one is more of a fast forward idea. If you pair all of that with the second effects track I have, which is called DJ Beat Repeat, you get something like this. You can grab both of these effects racks from my Patreon, but because I'm not one to gatekeep, I'm going to show you how to make them from scratch. Come over to Audio Effects, Audio Effects Rack, drag and drop it down. First up, we're going to grab an auto filter and a flanger. Next, open up the macros. We're going to map the frequency of the auto filter to macro 1. Right click it, map to macro 1, and then if we mess around with this, you'll see that that affects the filter. For the DJ effect, you want to set the filter type to a high pass. And we'll also map the dry wet of this flanger to macro 1. So now this one macro controls both the filter and the dry wet of the flanger. Now that you know how to map to the macros, I'm not going to go through every effect, but something that you do need to know is about this map button. If I come into the map button, you can see all of the macro mappings that I have. And one thing that you're definitely going to want to do is make sure that you map the on and off of the device. So you just select the on off button on the device, reverb in this case. And what I have it set to now is in the reverb, the device only comes on as soon as I engage that macro knob. So when it goes to 1, that's when the effect turns on. Otherwise, the reverb is going to be on your track the whole time. So when it's at 0, it's off. And when I start to engage it, it turns the reverb on. I have this for most of the effects that I have on. Also with the reverb, you're going to want to put it as the last effect in your chain because it will sound weird otherwise. The last 2 things I'm going to show you in detail are how to work with time-based effects like this delay and this stutter effect. And then I'll go into detail on how to do the vinyl skip and the fast forward because I have a feeling they're going to be most popular. With the time-based effects, they are mapped to the global tempo. So you'll see here this sample that I have in number 1 that I've been playing this whole time is at 90 BPM. The second track I have in here is 87 BPM and the third track is 110 BPM. In Ableton, you can set each scene to a specific BPM that will actually change the overall global tempo. So if I play this first scene, it's at 90 BPM. This second scene, as soon as I trigger it, it's after changing it to 87. And this third one, which is 110 BPM, it changes the global tempo again to 110. Right click the scene and then go to scene tempo and time signature. You can actually set the tempo of these scenes. So that will affect the overall global tempo. This means when I have a time-based effect like delay, and it's synced to be playing in 4th notes or quarter notes, then this is going to correspond to the global tempo set by each individual track, which will make the delay effect in time with your track. And you'll see here, all I have is a delay, a simple delay, set to that to sync. And as soon as I mess around with this knob, it's being mapped to the dry wet of this delay, just like we did the mapping earlier on. For the stutter effect, I have this shaper modulator effect on, and you can get that in audio effects. And it's a Max for Live device called Shaper. And what this effect allows you to do is create your own very own waveform. In this example, I just have a very straightforward square waveform. And what that's doing is when the waveform is at the top of the square, it's basically having the volume at max. And then on this part of it here, it basically turns off the volume, which is what's creating the stutter effect. And what I have this mapped to is on and off. So when I have the stutter effect turned to 0, the effect itself turns off. And when I start to engage it, it turns on, like I showed you before. And I also have it mapped to the rate, so I can affect the rhythm of the stutter by controlling this knob. You'll see there the rate is going up and down, so it gives me different rhythms. The last two things I'm going to show you are the vinyl skip and the fast forward. For the fast forward, I have this shifter effect. Again, you can grab that from the audio effects. And I have it mapped to this delay time function. So whenever I mess around with this, it's actually skipping through the time delay. And it creates this kind of fast forward skipping. And then lastly, for the vinyl skip, I have an echo delay. And I have the macro of the vinyl skip mapped to the left and right time delays. And this time I have time delay rather than synced delay because it lets you do it in milliseconds and it creates a more realistic vinyl skip sound. Hope that helps. Like and follow for more Ableton tips.